Welcome to Step by Step, the podcast that takes you on a journey through the lives of some of the most successful leaders in their industries. Each episode, we'll bring you a new leader's story, showcasing their journey to success and the challenges they faced along the way. We'll delve into every aspect of their story, step by step. So join us on this journey as we take you step by step through the lives of some of the most inspiring and successful leaders in the world. Step by Step is produced by Marketing in Asia, and here is your host, Azleen.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Step by Step powered by Marketing in Asia, and today we're going to talk about tech. Tech is having a lot of dramas out there, and for today I am joined by one of my friends. His name is Hafizullah Irfan, and he's a tech entrepreneur. He runs a company called OlivesTouch. So today we are going to talk about technology, tech companies, and his journey from small to where he is. Hello, Irfan. How are you today?
Hello. How are you? I'm good.
Good. You're good, right?
Yeah,
Are you in office or at home?
I'm at home now.
Okay, that's good. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's happening, surrounding the whole industry. But first, I would like to know more of how did you start and how do you maneuver yourself?
Okay. So basically, it's a long journey. So I can say that I was doing this journey forever. Looks like, because it's almost 30 years plus into computers and IT. So it was used to be computer at that time. Now it becomes IT and then digital transformation and a lot of things. So I have a honor of being part of this history of moving from mainframes to the mobile devices. So it's a huge journey that has happened. And like you said, since I was able to achieve certain success, I would say I am a big shot, but I was able to achieve. So you are right that we have to maneuver around. So
Yeah.
I started I started as a professional or an employee as such, but gradually I moved into this entrepreneur activities and started my own consulting company. And
How did you jump from the employment to the entrepreneurship? What makes you that I need to do this?
I think I always tell people that entrepreneurship is something like a built-in quality. And I can give my example to everyone. I usually give it to everyone that I become successful is because I was not good employee. So I'm not a 9 to 5 stuff. So I cannot work in those boundaries. So you have to fail as a student or as a employee to become a successful entrepreneur. If you look at all the tech people around us, even in US, Europe. So I'm not saying that it has to be a dropout, but the major quality or inbuilt characteristic is that you are not happy with the norms of the game. So you want to change it, you want to take control of, and then you're ready to take risk. So those are the few things which has to be built in qualities. It's not about only getting dropout, because every dropout is not successful. So the idea is, like you said very well, you have to take risk and you have to maneuver. You have to find your way out. Business is just like walking in the jungle. So
What is the actual reason why you like make that very difficult decision to jump? I don't think it's routine, right? I think it's more of like I think I can do more.
yeah,
Some people are like that. I think I can do more, or maybe this is for me, or something like that. How about yours?
no, I think You are right. Basically, it's not instantaneous decision, and if it happens instantaneous, then maybe it will not end into a success, because it's, like I said, it's a very difficult journey. But in my case, if I recall back, I was always looking for ideas. I was always trying to come up with new ideas. The good part is that in my family, or my extended family also, I'm the only one who is in business. I'm not from a business family. So we are all people who work for other people's success, not for. So I came from that family where everyone is an employee, and very successful employees as well. But I remember that since very early age, where people now, the fresh grads, usually took that hype of going and doing their own business in 60s, 70s, and 80s of their life, years of their life. So I think same thing happened to me as well. The only advantage I think I got is basically I have the ideas. I don't have the guts to do it, and sometimes I was trying to make calculated risk. So I don't want to jump the boat, although there was no boat at that time. So I continue with my education. I continue with my normal journey. But back in subconscious mind, the objective was to do my own. Sometime I will find a right time to move on. So that happened at a very, I will say, a later stage of my life, when people go into retirement mode. That is a time when I decided to go into this journey. I was in my 40s. So in 40s, when you're set, you're settled career wise, you have reached to a senior management position, you have your kids growing up fast, and you are not in your country. I'm not Malaysian. I came from Pakistan and I started business in Malaysia. So it's all about doing things which doesn't make sense. But I did it. So I think it is basically a dream that I want to do something. And I feel, frankly speaking, once you have that inclination, then you can find opportunity around you. So there was a lot of gaps and opportunities. Like I came from an Oracle background, so I was in Oracle landscape or ecosystem for a while. So I know the product, I know the gaps. So those gaps becomes my opportunities, and that is where I start moving on my own.
When you jump into entrepreneurship, there is one step.
Hmm.
Okay, the other step is what should I do? Yes, I have a background in tech, and then they should be able to do tech. But some people decided to do this and that, social media,
Yeah.
marketing, something else. But in your case, you have a background in tech. When you want to jump, okay, which area of tech that you said?
Okay. So, good question. Basically,
Yeah,
it's a very
you are trying to do one
yeah,
position.
it's very relevant now also, because just yesterday I'm exploring all the AI tools that are available, especially Chat GPT and all those crazy ideas. So that is how I keep evolving. So I have to evolve myself first, then I can do other things. So coming back to your question, basically, what I learned, somehow I learned the hard way, is that you should do what you're good in. Don't follow other people's success. So your success will be based on your strength, not because of other people's strength. So maybe you are very good at yourself, is you're into marketing, digital marketing and other stuff as well. But maybe I'm not into that league. So why should I try to become another Azleen? So it's better to look into finding my own strength. So I think it took me a while to be sure that what is my strength, and that made me decide that this is where I want to. This is my future, my present and my future. So
How many
so
years?
that is where
How many years?
so that is why I always tell fresh grads or people who want to do their own journey that don't do it in a hurry. You still have life. There are many years to come. Make a right decision. Don't follow, because usually what people do now is they just copy and paste. They try to follow the success of other people, but I always tell an example that Mark Zuckerberg is successful not because he only wear one color of t-shirt. So that t-shirt, he makes so many decisions every day that changing his dress is the least decision he want to make. But if I continue with the same dress, I will not become another, I cannot create another Facebook. So simple as that. So you don't follow people. You follow your own strength and your weaknesses.
How long does it take for you to know that, okay, this is where I'm going to focus on? How many years?
I will say quite a few years. Rather, I will say I make the decision. I make the decision, then I start executing the plan. So a few things that I did, again, something that I want to share as a secret, which I am sharing with everyone, is basically I learned how to make calculated risk on other people's cost. So I was very good in decision making before starting my own business, because that is what I learned when I was an employee. Like I said, I become senior manager. So when I was in management role, I have to make decisions and some calculated risk as well, when to say no, when to say yes. So all those things I learned not on my cost. I learned that on other people's cost. And so if you ask me, the decision was made few years back, but then I started executing the plan, preparing for it, when to move out of the door. So that took me about, I will say, 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years. So I think mine is also about that. A bit longer. I think about 6 years. Then I know 6 years.
Yeah.
I mean, a year more. But again, I think everyone, what I noticed is that you have another step, okay, which is rare to some people. You decided to jump into entrepreneurship. Second, you decide what niche that you should do. The third one is, I think, very unique for people like you, who is very rare, which is to run a company in another country.
Yeah. lot of,
So there is
lot
a
of
big
people ask me
difference.
this question: why you started your business in Malaysia? Because usually people start
Yeah,
business in their known territories. So you have your friends,
exactly.
family, cousins, uncle, auntie, your school fellows, college buddies.
Yeah.
So I have no one like that.
So I want to know your story, the backstory.
I think Malaysia is a good place because, like I said, because I'm in Malaysia since 2008, so it's about 14 years now. And initially, 6, 7 years I was in job, and then I decided to start my company. So during that 6, 7 years when I was in employment with Oracle and other Oracle partners, so I can understand the market very well. So I know that there are certain strengths as well as certain weaknesses, like in every other market. So it's in Malaysia as well. So I feel that yes, there is opportunity. Why? I can give you an example. From the Oracle perspective, or the business that I do, which is more in business consulting and ERP consulting, ERP and EPM, supply chain, all that stuff. So usually there is a huge gap in Malaysia, and we are more like a consumer market rather than a supplier market. So in Sabarjaya you find a different color of skin who is doing the work. So it doesn't make sense for me to go back to Pakistan, where we have a lot of my friends doing the same thing. So why should I go and compete with them? It makes more sense to remain in a market which is more consuming the technology. And based on my network in India, Pakistan, and other countries as well, Europe, America, whatever you call it, I can get the resources and deliver. So once we start delivering, then people will not care from where you are, because for them work is all that matters.
Yes. Correct. Correct. How difficult to start when you are here and you have network, of course, and you have some friends who can help, some partners. How challenging during the first 1 year? Your opinion? based on your
Yeah, yeah.
experience?
First year is the toughest one, if you ask me, and of course because there are so many factors that will push you to go back to what you're doing earlier. So I think you have gone through that journey also. So from salary-based employment going into a venture where you don't know when the paycheck will come. That is the serious problem. I always tell students when they ask me for a speaker assignment. So I will tell them that you have to learn how to live without paycheck, because that is what the businessman learn first thing, that you are not going to get anything on 27th. Today is 27th. I ran the payroll for my team, but not for myself, because I don't know when I'm going to get that money. So even with 8 years of business, we still try to manage cash flow, and I think that is true. That is true for you as well. So I think it's always difficult. First year was very difficult. Rather, I will say the first 2 years were difficult, but I had a plan. I know how to work. That was the advantage, because being a person who is known in the market, even in Malaysia market, people know me. I was from Oracle background, so that ecosystem was there. So we were able to get some customers very quickly, and then I was able to deliver the work on time without going into payroll. So that is another journey that I took. So people talk about freelancing today. I was doing freelancing in 2013. So I was hiring freelancers or working with freelancers and doing the projects. So I think I have done two things very differently. One, we don't have a physical office ever. So we are always COVID ready. So I think I always tell my team that we are the one of the few companies who were always ready for COVID, because we know how to work virtually. So
Nowadays, people just go for the
yeah,
virtual and it responds. It makes really good sense.
so we started
Cost wise,
cost wise is what's good.
yeah,
Then what I do, although we are a small company, but I know Alhamdulillah we are bigger, but I still believe in outsourcing. So we don't have overheads. We don't have. I can tell this in public that I don't have accounts department. It's all outsourced. Our HR is outsourced. Our payroll is outsourced. So we are a very lean organization. We are all billable. So that is how we make the
yeah.
success. I learned how to. Actually, my background is finance as well. So I always tell the business people, especially the entrepreneurs, the new people, the new breed who want to get into it. The first thing you have to learn is P&L and balance sheet, because these are the two things which matters the most. Whether you have an idea or not, that doesn't matter. You can fool around if you know how to how to play with balance sheet and P&L. That is all that is required.
Okay, tell me a bit about your company, OlivesTouch.
Okay, so it's again a quick story. We established OlivesTouch in 2015 in Malaysia. It was, I think, 9th March or 9th March. May. So we started, so it's 9th May, I think. 9th May, we established OlivesTouch in Malaysia. And the good part is, again, I want to share what is the good part. The good part is OlivesTouch was never supposed to do Oracle, which is the good part. So that is, again, what people should learn, that you have to let go your dreams sometimes. So to become successful. So I never started OlivesTouch for Oracle practice. I started OlivesTouch to do, and our first few slides, if I can share with you, is history. In that slides, it was written technology enabler for halal industry. So
Oh,
was a IT enabler for halal industry, because and that is why I stay in Malaysia, because Malaysia was the central for halal in those days, even today. And I have a strong network of people. And again, my employment helped me to get into that network. That is another story for some other day. But the point is that when I started OlivesTouch, Olives has nothing to do with Oracle. If Olive is a religious fruit, vegetable as well. So that is where we brought it into as a name, OlivesTouch. So it was more to do with halal food. So we were saying that just like icing on the cake, it's like putting olive on the food to make it halal, make it quality, halal, whatever you call it. So that is the journey we started. But in the due course of time, I understand that it's not going anywhere. So I make the tough decision of letting my dream go of halal. Halal is still my dream, but I let it go for something else. And one of my friends told me earlier that you are known for Oracle, so don't let it go. So that is how I went into Oracle. We started all this, and then it grew. We started with few, like I said, the first few years was without any payroll, and then gradually we start getting more business. We are getting big team. Then we have another uniqueness is that in OlivesTouch, all the employees are local Malays, which is again very typical, which is not usual for companies whose founders are from South Asia, because they will always go back. But what we did is we took another hard, I will say, tough decision of developing resource pool in Malaysia. So today, OlivesTouch, we are proud to be the largest local Oracle application partner in Malaysia. And we are doing projects in public sector. Our client base is different, I will say, than what we were expecting. So we have GLCs, we have public sector. So the client list is impressive. Alhamdulillah.
That's good. That's good. Now, how big is your team now?
So we have about totally around 35 people full time. And then we scale up and scale down as required or as the need of the project. So in technology, nothing is final. So sometimes we get a very different technological needs. And we never say no to business until if it makes sense. So then we get into.
So I'm seeing that I think currently OlivesTouch is already like more or less very stable. You have a very firm team and you have a good presence, especially in Malaysia. So will your dream be coming anytime soon, the next years, to go back to the halal industry and you bring them to be more empowered?
No, yeah. I always try to do new things. So halal is still on my agenda. I'm not giving it up, and I'm still working with some friends in Malaysia and outside Malaysia as well to help them in Islamic finance and halal supply chain and this and that. Sometimes what I do is I invest into those initiatives. Sometimes I become the advisor and give them my insights of what to do and how to do it. So this is what I am continuously doing because, like I said, I always tell my partners that OlivesTouch Oracle is a business and halal is still my passion. So in my spare time, I do that. I'm also moving into another space, which is sustainability and ESG. I have already started working on that as well. So what I'm saying is basically technology is everywhere. So you have to find new opportunities and you continue growing. So this is how we are growing.
Right. Now, I want to ask you a bit about the current trend that is happening in the West, and it is now reaching to this part of the world, which is the layoffs. As you can see, Microsoft is laying off, and then you heard, I think recently today, IBM is going 3,000 more. Why is this happening? Is it because AI, or is it because of something else?
I think it's because of, to a certain extent, it's because of the COVID that happened. Best of the best planners all fail in their forecast. So whether it was 2019 or 2020, everyone was 2021 or 2020. People were thinking about something different, and all of a sudden, everything I will say collapsed to of initially, and then there are a lot of correction happened. Like we stay back at home, so there was another, and the lucky part I have. So we get into all this idea of e-commerce and Netflix. We have to kill time, so we start Netflix. Then people like you and me, because we have to do something, so we start doing webinars, which was not there before even COVID. So we were used to do seminars, webinars. But being innovative as a we are a social animal, so we have to find some way to do things. So I think it was all because if you look at the trends, and now in internet there are so many people are sharing things or research or ideas or concepts. So if you look at, there was phenomenal growth in certain companies during the days of COVID. And that phenomenal growth was not forever. So people start hiring, expecting that this will be forever, because if you remember in Malaysia when we started the first lockdown, it was for 2 weeks, I think. And we were thinking that we will go back to normal. I still remember we were about to launch Academy in Malaysia for Oracle practice and ERPs. And I told my trainer to just cancel his ticket and come after 15 days. And that 15 days converted into 15 months. We all were not ready for it. So that is how technology become, that Apple and all those people, they make huge money, Amazon, Microsoft, they were treated as success story because their share price goes phenomenally high during the COVID era. But corrections has to happen. People will go back to normal life. Whatever you call it, normal is normal. There is no new normal. I strongly believe. So
Yeah, I think it's fun. If you read the article somewhere, for example, Microsoft, right? They are willing to pay and invest in OpenAI for 10 billion, and yet they have to let go for like a huge chunk of their staff out.
no, because that is what
So
actually, unfortunately, this because I was telling before COVID, I was discussing within my social network, and I was telling them that by 2025 or 2024, the world will be a different place, because I am observing technology for so many years. I will say 30 years. I told you, I saw the journey for last 30 years, and I always quote people. I always tell people that if just imagine what happened in 2019 or 2020, if that happened in 2010, everything will collapse, because all the big companies that we know now or which support us during COVID was not there during before 2010. So in last 10 years before COVID, all these things like Zoom and WhatsApp and I will say food delivery mechanism, all these things, e-commerce become mature, all this happened. So if you ask me, COVID happened at a right time. It's not a wrong time, because we were technologically ready for it. And after that, in technology, there is always a journey. People have to go and new people have to come. So that will happen. So now, like you said, just like I was mentioning yesterday, I was looking into Chat GPT, and nowadays I'm just investing my free time into AI tools. So I can see alarming situation, because that earlier technology people, IT people were taking up the jobs of other professions. But now this is coming to our home now. IT is going to suffer. So you need different skill set now. You don't need programmers. If you look at the free tools that are available, it does phenomenal things. So you don't need. I'm not saying we don't need you as a digital marketing person, but there are so many things that are happening that you have to be best of the breed. Otherwise, you will not survive. So if you're saying that like you're saying, Microsoft and Google is ready to invest, but they are looking for best of the breed. They are not going for people who are $5,000, $10,000 a month paycheck. They are not looking for those people anymore, because that could be done by AI, ML, or already. So they are looking for some smart people who are beyond AI, who really have intelligence. So they can work with artificial intelligence. So that is a game changer.
Is this also like?
And it always happens.
But this is.
Azleen, it always happens. I
Yeah.
can give you an example. Like, for example,
Yeah.
in Oracle or in cloud space, before cloud thing happened, we have something called DBA, database administrator. So every company has a database of its own server, and there are so many people who are managing that. Without you knowing it, that profession is gone. I
Yeah.
have DBA in my company who is doing nothing. I'm just maintaining him because I have to maintain him or her. Because otherwise they're not doing anything, because everything is gone on cloud. So now Azure is taking the whole responsibility of managing my server. Same thing happened with Oracle, Amazon. Everyone is giving that service. So up now there's a huge line of DBAs who become jobless, and it was not a news. This become news only when you have COVID. Otherwise, unemployment was happening forever.
So in your case, how do you plan to stay relevant for 5, 10, or more years, as long as possible?
Unlearn, relearn, learn, unlearn, relearn. These are the three words that I keep in my mind. That you have to, and I think in future, I tell this to my kids also, that the biggest strength that these people, this generation will have, the future generation will have, is how quick they can change. Because we were lucky, you and me, and especially my generation, where we have a career of 30 plus years. It's not going to happen now. Within 30 months, your profession will be obsolete and there will be another profession. So if you scale up yourself as quickly as possible, then you will survive. Otherwise, you will be part of the useless human beings.
They call it commodity.
Commodity, basically. So you are just will just consume the technology. So I was telling my kid who want to be an IT person that don't become a consumer of technology, become the creator of technology. You have to do something.
Yeah,
So I think you have to do this. Yani, I can give you an example. Just yesterday, last few weeks, when I'm looking into AI seriously, I was in a comfort zone that based on my experience and my knowledge or so-called wisdom, I can compete with the new generation. But when you look at these AI tools, now new generation doesn't need me, because that wisdom or that knowledge which is available on different websites can be filtered in few seconds and can be put forward as a text document or as a PPT or as a video, whatever you like. So why you need a person like me, 30 years plus experience, who become a heavyweight on a paycheck? So it's scary. It's really scary situation.
Everything is in the near their fingertip.
Yeah.
It's at the fingertip. Just have to click.
I think what I plan to do now to survive is to be few steps ahead. That's all. You cannot be few years ahead. You just have to be few steps ahead. So what is going to happen next week if I know today I have a 1 week breather or a 1 month breather? So just a small breathe, small steps. That's all that we have to do, and continue innovating, continue, I will say, exploring, continue, I will say, inventing yourself, myself, each one.
Yeah. I'm looking at it as a new world order, where the IT will somehow lead the way. But again, when this thing happen, a lot of issue will somehow pop up. on this the war and stuff like that will still going to be rapidly growing, and somehow the world has no solution to it.
I think this is the only time in our history that we are seeing 2 or 3 things happening. One is biotech. The advancement that is happening in biotechnology is phenomenal. And similarly, the information technology, which is IT. So these two are going in parallel, but in last 2 years, they somehow merge. So the merging of these two things, biotech and infotech, that is going to be a serious concern. And the other thing which is affecting is the economy, the challenges that we are facing globally. So we don't have answer to those things. Like economy has to be fixed, but the solution is not what used to be after Second World War. What we did after Second World War is not going to work now. So we have to find something unique, and so that is where the real challenge is, because technology is one part. Sometimes it's good also. If you remember when this COVID happened and the vaccine was developed, that was the fastest time that we were able to develop a vaccine for a disease in our history. And it all because of the algorithms that were running behind. And we were very reactively. If you look at it, was a success story for the humankind as a whole, that we were not able to only create a vaccine, but we were able to deliver it across the world. And we, even in Malaysia, you remember the panic that was there when the first vaccine was launched, how serious it was. But gradually, it becomes part of the life. I just went for a second booster, and it was like going for a normal vaccine. So that is how things become is normal, and it looks like it was 10 years back or 15 years back when COVID happened, but it was not 10, 15 years back. It just happened 2 years back. And I think that is a plus point of technology. There are some negatives, you're right, there's some negatives, but and I think legal angle and social angle, all these things are very serious. And I take this opportunity to tell people that as a generation, I always tell my generation that we were not ready for social media. So the social media boom that happened, we were not ready for it. So we don't know how to manage our kids, how to introduce them to social media. But I give you, I'm not saying warning, but metaverse is worse than social media, and none of us is ready for it. I can guarantee that. So what is going to happen? Just wait and see. I'm not against metaverse. I'm not against social media. But are we ready for it as a society, as a generation, or as a mankind or humankind?
If you ask me, personally, I do not see me and the metaverse somehow. I don't see for me, just me, I don't see any benefit of it. Okay, because I guess I'm too much of realist,
No,
more realistic than the usual one. I don't know. I don't know.
no,
I
you're
don't
right.
know.
But I think, again, I can be a devil's advocate as well. That if people like me were not expecting what happened with social media, we were not expecting people to go on Facebook and start buying and selling. We were not expecting that to happen. Even I think Mark Zuckerberg was not aware that Facebook can become what it is today. In his mind, he never thinks so futuristic. No one can think. But it gradually happens. And when technology take over, it do crazy things. So same thing will happen metaverse. You whether you like it or not like it, people will be in metaverse, companies will be in metaverse, and and very soon we have to be in metaverse, whether I like it or not, or you like it or not. Maybe I don't like social media, but we have to be there. Otherwise, you don't make sense now as a company, as an individual, and it changes during my generation that we move from corporate branding into personal branding. Now people talk about Irfan rather than talking about OlivesTouch a lot, because what matters most is your LinkedIn connection. So your LinkedIn connection, your influencer, how good you are on YouTube or TikTok, that matters most.
Via LinkedIn, via social media. Yeah.
My social media is with LinkedIn. My social media is LinkedIn. You'll always find me on LinkedIn active.
Okay. Irfan, thank you so much for your time. I think I had a wonderful conversation today.
Sure, sure. Let's
I need to catch up with
yeah.
you too. But I mean, before I let you go, any last word to our audience out there on tech, on entrepreneurship? I don't know, moving forward, any advice?
I think one thing which is very important is very soon technology or tech, especially the way we call infotech, information technology or technology. It won't be a profession as a unique entity. Majority of people from other profession has to be tech savvy. So digital literacy, knowing the technology, how to work within cyber space, these things are required as an additional skill. Whether you are a doctor, engineer, lawyer, businessman, you cannot rely on IT for that because very soon you will not find IT engineers doing it. The way the tools are doing now is you are supposed to do it your own. So you have to, as a marketeer, like say a digital marketeer, you should know how to use those tools. Very soon, technology will be everywhere. It's already there, but the IT will get reduced. There will be few. I won't say everything is vanished, but it will be more user enabled. So this is how things have moved on. If you remember, if you were in that generation, I don't know, but 30 years back when I started the consulting business, it was very huge challenge to bring a laptop or a computer into an organization because you have to train people, teach people, and how to switch on, switch off, and what this button do, what that button does. But now people know it before joining any profession. Our 2 years kids or 3 years kids how to maneuver around into social media or into digital space, how to download, upload apps. So all these things are happening now. Yes, this is the how technology becoming more user friendly. So I think whether you are a doctor, engineer, whatever you have to compete globally, and your market space is global. It's no more Malaysia or India or Pakistan. So with 5G or 6G, rather when 6G will come in, you will see another change happening because a lot of profession. Again, it's all about the people who are smart enough. They will make money. I will say.
Oh, obviously, Irfan, thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank you.
Irfan. Thank you so much.